Well, a very good evening to each and every one of you, and welcome to your Manchester, and welcome to you, Miss Emily Fleischman.
Well, it's nice to be here.
How are you?
Really good, thanks.
We have got a manic show today. Emily's stepping in while our Michelle has another holiday for everybody. She's had more holidays than Thomas Cook, everybody. She really has. But make sure you subscribe, make sure you click on the dingle dongle bell, and welcome to your Manchester. And we are now joined by our first guest, it's Mr. Danny Clifford, everybody. And you're doing something rather spectacular, aren't you?
I am, yes. I'm doing my second play. My first play, From Heaven to Hell, premiered 2 years ago. And I was actually on this show about a year ago now.
You were, with somebody's mother.
Yes, somebody's
Keeping
mother.
it in the family.
Yes, Sue Jenkins, what a lady.
Hey, what a lady.
But yeah, it's great. Nice new venue as well. Love what you've done with the place. It's,
Yes.
Nice curtains.
Nice curtains. It's always good to have good curtains.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
In every scale of the thing. So what is it all about, this play then?
So this play, my first play was about war, First World War, you know, and history and all that, but this play is totally different. It's modern day, drugs, sex, rock and roll. It's got everything. Fight scenes, projections, it's got an underscore from some of Manchester's best bands like Oasis.
Really?
It's really fast paced. And I think my inspiration for writing it, I've always wanted to put something down on paper about some of my life experiences. Because when I was younger, I got into a bit of trouble. I wasn't always squeaky clean like I am now.
Oh, good.
But yeah, so some of the things in the play is things that I've experienced, you know, with the drugs. You know, I was on the wrong side of the law sometimes. And I was questioning myself whether I should actually write about this because it's quite personal.
It's quite scary to write about.
It is quite scary, and also some of it's quite close to the bone, and you always worried about offending people. And I actually stopped halfway through writing it, and I thought, oh God. But then I thought, do you know what? I've just got to tell it how it is. Go with my gut and just spill it all out. And after I thought that, I just never stopped writing. So it's a one-act play. I play a boxer in it. I've always wanted to play a boxer.
Have you ever been a boxer?
Well, I've boxed for the past 20 years, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah.
That'll explain the physique.
Well, yeah, it's a lot of Photoshop, you know.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's working really well for us.
Isn't it? Yes. Maybe we invest in that next.
Yeah, so I play a boxer, and he's sort of like a happy-go-lucky kind of character. Loves his missus. They're engaged, ready to get married, and they've just moved to a new home. So it's all happy start, and then really doesn't know that his fiancée is actually a drug addict, and she's hid it from him for a long period of time. She's taking cocaine, and as the play goes on, we start to discover that she's dabbling in different drugs like spice. So I thought, obviously, spice in Manchester is rife on the streets at the moment, you know, especially the homelessness.
Yeah.
But what I didn't want to just portray it as I know it is a dirty drug and it's a cheap drug, but it's not just homeless people that take this drug. It's people at the, you know, who are on low incomes as well. They can't afford your more expensive drugs. They go to stuff like that. So I definitely wanted to incorporate that into the play and talk about that. But yeah, it's like I say, it's got fight scenes, it's got everything, and it's so refreshing to talk about and to write about something that I experienced myself.
And it's part of the Fringe as well, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And I want to say a massive thank you to the GM Fringe. They've been amazing, because I suffer from dyslexia as well. So when I put my first play on, what was like 3 Fringes ago now, it was all a bit nerve-wracking because, you know, even just giving your script over to someone else, you think my grammar's not great, you know. You know, you're constantly spell checking things, and even then, I give the script over to Sue. You know, she's correcting things, but Sue was great. The Fringe was great. Everyone from Shade, Lisa, Zena, Debbie, they've all been so supportive.
And there's big shoes to fill, isn't there? And it's not just stage you're doing, is it? Because you've adapted it for film.
Yeah,
well,
yeah. It's funny because I started writing this about 18 months ago, and I never thought in my wildest dreams that it could be adapted to film. But it was funny that when I finished the Fringe last year with my other play, I met a couple of people who, you know, were involved in the film industry, and they said, we'd love to work with you, we like your writing. So have you got any scripts that you're working on now? I said, yes, Unbreakable. It's about a boxer. I told them the whole synopsis.
Yeah.
And they said, right, that's great. A month later we started filming. So it's not a feature, but it's a short film, but it's
And where can people find that then?
It's still in production now.
Post-production, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So it'll be ready in about a month's time. But if any information, you ever go onto my Instagram, which is Danny_Clifford or DannyClifford.info. All the information on there. So any updates will be all be on there.
It sounds fantastic. When is this play on though?
This play is on the 11th, 12th, and 13th of July. Starts at 7. Tickets are £10. Concession is £8. But all the tickets are available on the Great Manchester Fringe website.
Doesn't it sound marvellous?
We'll have to go and see that.
You've got to come. You're definitely coming.
I'm obviously coming.
You're going to have your top off in a pair of shorts, aren't you?
Yeah,
That's not the reason I'm going.
No, that's why I'm
really
going.
trying to stay strict on this diet, saying that I've just had some chips. But
You've got to try the Greg's diet. That's been working for me for years.
There's this boxer, Anthony Joshua, just got beat, and the guy who beat him was, a little bit overweight.
Right.
Everyone knows he's a bit overweight.
Oh, there's hope for me yet then.
Well, he had a diet of Snickers, so you never know. I might change the stage directions to
Might become a world champion.
I dare you. I dare you. Well, thank you very much for coming in today.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Thank you. Right then, from one play to the world of the screen, it's time to hand over now to our soap corner and our screen corner, and indeed our gorgeous Hayley.
Hi, I'm Hayley and welcome to On The Box. Now, first of all, before we talk about anything else, I just want to say a massive well done to all the winners and the nominees of the British Soap Awards. I personally was really pleased that Gail's monologue won Scene of the Year. Beautifully written by Jonathan Harvey and outstandingly performed by Helen. And also Sue Nichols as well, getting outstanding achievement. Wonderfully, wonderful, wonderful woman. 40 years on those cobbles and an absolute pleasure to work with. Now, a well done as well, I must say, to Hollyoaks, because they actually won Soap of the Year, which is brilliant for them. And I'd also definitely, let's go over to the B, because I want to recommend Summer of Rockets. That is set in the UK during the Cold War. Now, coming up on BBC Two, we have The Luminaries. That's about the gold rush. We also have The Nest. We have War of the Worlds. And we have Series 5 of Peaky Blinders. Over to Netflix, and we have one of my favourite ever films, which is Artificial Intelligence, Series 5 of Black Mirror, Series 2 of Dark, and Trinkets. At the cinema, X-Men, Dark Phoenix is out soon, Men in Black, Toy Story 4, Spider-Man Far From Home, and the long-awaited Lion King is out in July, and I cannot wait for the Lion King. It feels like it's been coming out like forever. Now, Kingsman 3 is due out in 2021, and Matthew Vaughn has actually promised fans will either freak out in a good way or a bad way. But what he has promised is big things. Now, that's it from me. I'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you, Hayley. That was lovely.
It was lovely, wasn't it? Lots to find out about that. We've got our next guest with us now. She's called Amanda Steele, and you are a wonderful author. And you've got a new book out. Tell us all about it.
This is First Charge. It's released by Norman Pig Publishing, and it's a young adult book. It's got Meredith, who's a lesbian, because I realise there's a lot of groups of people that are underrepresented. So I decided to do that and then make it diverse by having a load of descendants of like mythical creatures so that they're different in some ways.
Ooh, sounds wonderful. But this isn't the first book you've had and done, is it?
No, I've done some self-published book.
Right.
I've written about zombies, I've written women's fiction about a woman that finds out her parents have lied to her and she was stolen as a child and sold to a childless couple.
And where did these ideas come from?
Dare you ask?
There's random ideas floating in my head at 3:30 in the morning.
Really?
Or when I've had a couple of Baileys.
Really? Yeah. And then you just write them all down, do you?
Yeah.
Lovely.
So why young adult fiction?
Well, the story of Meredith just came into my head, and then I thought, well, she's 15, so it's going to aim at like teens, I think. And I thought it's also going to be like a positive role model for people to look up to.
And do you write with a specific group in mind?
Sometimes I don't know where it's going.
If people want to get hold of this book, where do they go for it?
It's on Lulu now, and it's officially released on the 10th of June on Amazon and in bookstores, and if you can't find it, you can ask them.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we're going to hand over to Titters, who's been out for the Manchester International Festival, making
bells, everybody. Making bells. Don't say we don't put our presenters to do everything. Cue that VT.
The other day, I went along to the Old Bank Residency, Hanover Street, near Victoria Station, to attend a ceramic bell making class as part of the Manchester International Festival. What an impressive building. The interior would make a perfect set for Gotham in a Batman movie. The craftsmanship was from time gone by. Our aim was to create a ceramic bell to ring on the 4th of July between 5 and 6 p.m. at Cathedral Gardens as part of the Ring for Peace celebration. The class was taken by instructor Tom, a former student of our very own Manchester School of Art, passionately talking and showing us the process we were to follow. We started by making a beater for the bell. Then we took our plaster mould and packed it with clay to create a solid dome shape, which we then removed from the mould, sometimes with difficulty. We placed it into the centre of a square wooden tile and then added the sides made of 4 L-shaped pieces clipped together, before sealing with clay sides to avoid leakage. A measured amount of water and a measured amount of plaster sprinkled in and then mixed by hand. The plaster was poured over the mould and left to set to create a new mould for the next class. Then going back to our original mould, we lined them with ceramic clay to create our bell before marking it and putting our name on the block and sending it to be fired in the kiln. It was a pleasure to attend this 2-hour session along with the families and singletons alike. 2 hours of a creative and therapeutic calmness. Other sessions have been held both in the city and the suburbs. Don't forget 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Cathedral Gardens on the 4th of July for the celebration, which will be hosted by none less than Yoko Ono.
Well, wasn't that absolutely fascinating?
It absolutely was.
Bell making for beginners, everybody. How lovely. Don't say you don't get variety on this show. And speaking of variety, we now bring you a gentleman who has spent a good few days picking up bits of litter and looking after our lovely little city and other waste. Anyway, his name is Jon Connor-Lyons and he is from the Labour Party. Hello, how are you?
I'm good, thank you for having me back.
No problem, thank you for coming back.
No,
It's been ages and you're blending in with that seat.
Oh yeah,
Which is always gorgeous, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
We should give you the red seat, really,
Oh,
shouldn't
definitely. Yeah, oh well.
How long have you been Labour now for?
So, just over a year, I've been a Labour councillor for Piccadilly. It's been really good, done some real positive things, but yeah, looking forward to the next year and definitely getting cracking on with things, yeah.
Cracking on with anything in particular?
Well, you know, campaigning for more social housing, affordable housing, for investment in the northern quarter, the gay village, in the parks, and obviously against litter and rubbish in our city, yeah.
Litter and rubbish, you're referring, of course, to real litter, not carbon.
Well, you know, I actually quite like carbon.
But you are doing something worthwhile for Manchester. You are now dealing with litter, aren't you?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to. You know, for example, you know, things that I'm doing is going after kind of the businesses and the companies who aren't doing their bit with things like commercial waste and kind of tidying their areas outside their businesses, which does increase traffic flow and create more of a place in Manchester.
And you've been quite prominent about this on your Twitter, haven't you?
Yeah, Twitter and social media, yeah.
Didn't somebody leave litter somewhere and you went and picked it up?
Yeah, so what happened was I got a message from the Northern Quarter Forum about some litter on a back street in the Northern Quarter outside a venue actually, which was quite unfair on them. So I went out, looked at the address and it was from Salford University, from a number of different employees. So it wasn't just a mistake, it was kind of an institutional error that had happened here which left rubbish on the street. So I decided...
Why would they dump the litter and...
Who knows? I mean, you know, Salford University is a while away
What
from
was
the
the
northern
litter?
quarter. So it was cardboard boxes. So that's all it was, cardboard boxes. Quite a lot of it, to be fair. So I decided, should I report it to the council, waste taxpayers' money with an officer having to come out, report it, get biffered down, clean it, or should I bag it up myself, take it home, and then take it to Salford University the next day and hand it back to the waste creators?
Well, we would argue that was a very noble cause, but how did you get it back to Salford?
So, unfortunately, because I don't drive, I had to order a taxi to Salford University because they were quite heavy cardboard boxes. They were 3 bags full to the brim.
But surely you'd argue the CO2 emissions from the taxi sort of offsets your good deed.
Well, there's an argument about why I was doing this. Yes, I was doing this to save the environment, but you know, cardboard is biodegradable. But actually,
You're making a point.
I was making a point, but also, you know, I was saving taxpayers' money because I really don't want a council officer to have to come out, put a sticker on it. A few days later, someone else comes out, and you know, it's unfair for the businesses in the Northern Quarter who have to put up with it. Yeah, definitely.
And you want people to obviously stop littering.
Yes, stop littering, stop careful littering. So, you know, so like for example, when you go down to a park or, you know, a kind of a public place, you eat your sandwich, but then you leave your sandwich wrapper, your sandwich packet next to you, and you go off about your day. You're not dropping it on the floor, you're careful littering.
I mean, that's a very nice way of putting it, but I think littering's littering.
Littering's
if you're leaving
littering,
a litter,
of course.
you're littering.
But people don't realise that's what they're doing. They're putting it down on the seat. That's not littering in their mind.
That's why they have these enforcement officers now.
Well, part of it, yeah. I mean, it's quite hard for enforcement officers to tackle that specifically. So, in September onwards last year, we've been running a campaign against careful littering, with signs in public places telling people not to do it. We did that with Keep Britain Tidy, a fantastic organisation who've been campaigning across Britain. Keep Britain Tidy. But we have enforcement officers to catch people on the go from, you know, littering. Yeah, definitely.
And something you're not allowed to do anymore. I bet you wouldn't even believe this. You're not even allowed to feed pigeons anymore.
Yeah.
You can't feed the pigeons?
You get fined by these enforcement officers.
Well, you know, people throw food down on the floor for pigeons, but actually they don't know that they're feeding pigeons. You know, there's places in the Northern Quarter, and especially in the Gay Village as well. You know, people throw food, breadcrumbs, whatever, and actually they're feeding the rats. I mean, we've all seen it. I've been sent numerous of videos of breadcrumbs across the streets, and actually they're feeding the rats. And
you go to the park and you feed the ducks from a tiny age. So where is this information that tells people that they can't feed the pigeons? Because I'd be 80 quid down before I realised, thinking I was doing a good deed for the animals.
Well, you can feed the ducks. That's definitely different to pigeons. It's
That's discriminatory against the pigeons. Surely they're all birds.
Yeah.
It's birdism. I feel sorry for
Where
the
does
pigeons.
the money go that they make?
So it goes back into their kind of operation as operatives, you know, enforcing, you know, littering, but also into other services, cleaning services, those sorts of things.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you had to say to people right now, go on, get on your soapbox.
Yeah.
Why should people not litter?
Don't litter because it creates an unhealthy environment. You know, it's creating a negative area. Litter, studies have been shown that litter helps contribute towards crime and other negative behaviours and attitudes. So don't litter. Keep our city and our streets clean.
Thank you very much, Councillor
Thank you.
Jon Connor-Lyons. Thank you. Right then, well that is it for this week's show. Thank you very much. Have you had fun?
I've had lots of fun. Thanks for having me. It's been really nice.
It's been rather fantastic. You must come back again. And you're also going to be doing some more of your lovely food videos.
I am. I'm going to be doing some more cooking. I've got loads of new recipes up my sleeve as well. So, yeah, stay tuned if you want some nice, healthy recipes.
And they're all lovely and vegan, aren't they?
Yeah, I try and keep everything that I cook at home vegan and a little bit healthier if you're trying to cut down on your dairy, you're going to kind of cut down your meat intake, give them a go.
I love it all. And I must say the vegan food has basically changed my world over the last few weeks, everybody. Because it actually has taste. Who knew? Hey, you can get better taste, everybody, from vegan food as much as you can from other places, to be fair. Thank you very much for coming. Make sure you all click on the little subscribe button. Make sure you all click on the little like button and on the little dingle dongle bell. And thanks very much for watching this week's episode of Your Manchester.